Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Trust the Process, where we talk all about determination, resilience, and perseverance. Today, I'm joined by the editor, Jim Page. Jim and I actually did a really great Natter with Nilan video earlier, so make sure you check that out. Jim, welcome back. Thank you very much for making the time with me again.
Thanks for having me.
You're very, very welcome. So for this segment, we've got 3 questions that I want to ask you. This segment is all about determination, resilience, perseverance, which I feel that you need in buckets really for this industry. First question: tell me about a time where you felt like giving up.
That's quite a difficult question to answer, really, because I think you kind of periodically feel like that when you're working, certainly as a freelancer, but just sort of generally when you're, you feel like you're taking 2 steps forward, 2 steps back, sometimes 3 steps back. When I first started, I wasn't really getting anywhere. I was doing stuff I didn't care about, and I wasn't sure whether I wanted to even do it at all, really. Then as things progressed, I was able to kind of get to do little things that I felt like, oh, maybe I'm not too bad at this. Maybe I can, maybe this will lead to stuff. But I think one of the parts of being freelance is you've got to learn to accept kind of disappointment and rejection to an extent. There are jobs that you want that you're not going to get. There are shows that you want to work on that you're not going to be able to work on. And there's life isn't fair, and that's just sort of something you have to deal with in any walk of life, but particularly what we do. I've suffered from mental health problems. Always hesitate to say the word suffer because it sounds quite melodramatic, but I have mental health problems, and that can definitely affect how I feel about my position and kind of place in life in general, but also in what I'm doing. But I just I try and go back to the beginning, really, and think, why am I doing this? Because I really enjoy doing it, and when it's great, it's brilliant, so I kind of have to hold on to that sometimes. But sometimes you can feel like you've got a single balloon and the world is made of pins, and you just kind of have to try and protect that balloon as much as possible.
Definitely, very well said. Very well said. What was it that stopped you from giving up?
That's a difficult question to answer as well, really. I don't know. I think I'm very pig-headed about things. I've always, if I want to do something, I try and do it to the nth degree. And so the idea of spending so much time that I've invested in doing what I do, to then sort of throw it away, felt sort of anathema to me as a person. But also, practically speaking, you get to a certain point where you think, well, can I do anything else? Is there a, can I go and, I suppose I could go and teach, I suppose, which I've done a bit of. I've done mentoring, and I've done, talks for different universities and stuff. And I did one for BFI Networks, actually, the
Oh, wow.
BFI Future thing.
The Future Film Festival, right?
Yeah, a couple of years ago. And I don't know. I don't know if I have really a specific answer to that, other than just I want to do this, and I enjoy doing it, and it would be a very difficult decision to stop doing it. But I do know some people who've stopped doing it and have found different loves, and so maybe that'll happen. I don't know, but at the moment, I'm still trying.
That's great to hear. Final question. There's going to be so many people out there that are, one, struggling to try and get their first steps in this industry, or are in this industry and are struggling with mental health themselves. What advice would you have for someone maybe who wanted to go into editing or go into post-production? What advice would you have for them to deter them from giving up?
Oh, again, a very difficult question. I think I think the industry has changed quite a lot, especially in the last 5 years, in terms of how people see mental health. And I think people are much more empathetic and understanding, and make make life easier for you to be able to work in this industry whilst having mental health problems. That being said, the reality is deadlines are as tight as they ever have been. The pressure to work is as tight as it ever has been. So you have to be a certain kind of person, I think, to be able to have bad times and still be able to move forward with them. And that's definitely something I've struggled with. I've had times when I've had to have time off work, or I've lost jobs because they just couldn't not have me there. I've also had jobs where I told them I had mental health, and then they decided to unbook me. So I had like one job I had for a production company. It was going to be for like 4 months. They found out I had depression, and they decided that they didn't want to take the risk. And so
Wow.
I didn't get to work, for them. And so things like that are very difficult. And it really comes down to a systematic attitude change that is happening, but hasn't happened completely. Ultimately, it's about trying to find a place in the middle where, if you have problems, mental health problems, where you can find a way of working that is amenable to you, but that also fits in with the way that the film and TV industry works as well. I don't have an answer to that really in terms of how to do that. I know, in terms of the environment, certainly people being able to work from home, I think has helped a lot of people. And I think this whole COVID thing has made people realize actually you don't need to be in the office all the time, But until until a company can say, yeah, it's fine, have a couple of weeks off, or have a few days off, it's fine. I don't think things are going to change all that much, really. It'll just be about the understanding of the people in it, and how much that affects your what's the word? How that affects your reputation. If people, in years gone by, having mental health problems meant you were a quitter or you were weak or whatever. And I don't think that is the case to as great an extent as it used to be. But until the film industry can get to that point where they're not going to be prejudiced against you for the next job, even if you have to leave this job early, then I don't necessarily have a massively hopeful view about that, really, just as someone who is working my way through it. But it's definitely better than it used to be. But yeah, you have to be realistic, really.
Yeah, I feel like we've come a long way in a short space of time these last few years. But in terms of the film and TV industry, in terms of the support it gives people for mental health, what would you like to see? What would you like to see implemented?
Well, yeah, it's difficult to know what the end goal is, I suppose. I think, I don't know how this would work, but it'd be great if people couldn't be fired or let go because they've got mental health problems. That feels very, very hard. Having said that, if you're a fireman and you've broken your leg, you're probably not going to be that useful. And so you can understand why someone might not need to employ you anymore. And that's the nature of freelance work, is that there's no security. That company were able to say, we don't want you anymore, because that's their right, because I'm freelance and they don't owe me anything. If I was staff, they wouldn't be able to do that. So I guess some of it comes down to an extension of rights to freelancers that exist at the moment for staff. And so there's that. On a wider kind of scale, it'd be great to have the option to build in downtime to work. I think that's very, very unlikely, but it would be great to be able to say, look, I know I'm going to need a couple of days off, or have a shorter working week, but if I do it over a longer period of time, then I still get the job done. Won't cost you any extra, but it just means I'm not under this constant pressure. But with schedules being what they are, people still go, well, it needs to be done on March the 1st, and if it's not done on March the 1st, then you failed. When often, people start a schedule and they say it's definitely got to be done in 4 weeks, and then 8 weeks later you're still working on it, and they're like, oh, okay, fine. So I think more kind of realism about that kind of thing, and I suppose also just kind of I think it's a top-down thing. I think the people around you are often very sympathetic, but unless the people who are in charge who can make the decisions are like, okay, that's fine, I understand. You can have a day off, or you can have some time off, or whatever, or we'll schedule or structure the edit around you. Until they, implement that, then things aren't really going to change, I don't think.
Very good point.
Which is not a very positive way to end on, but
no. I think
it's better to be realistic.
I think when it comes to making change happen, I think the first place you start is with honesty. You have to look at what isn't working. You've got to be thankful for what is working and what has changed, but then you need to start acknowledging the things that still need looking at, and put measures in place, real measures in place to change that, and put power and put money and put resources behind it.
Yeah,
I think that's the way that change happens.
And the truth is that you wouldn't, you as someone with those problems, you also have to be realistic about what can be achieved. The world can't move because of you. It can be adjusted, but ultimately, if a lot of the projects you're working on are multi-million-pound projects, and as the editor, everything sort of flows through you as a person. So if you're not there to do it, then then nothing gets done. And so whether it's a case of getting someone to stand in for a little while, which is difficult to get someone to come in, for a few days or whatever, or whether it's a case of extending the schedule or working around it, none of them are kind of ideal situations. And in the same way as if you're in a wheelchair, there are certain jobs you just can't do, which is very unfair and very, very sad. But you can't expect certain employers to employ you based, purely because that would be a nice thing to do. Someone with mental health problems like myself has to be honest and say there are certain jobs that are difficult for me to do. There's, like, for instance, from my side of things, I don't ever do fast turnaround stuff anymore because I just don't like the pressure of it. I don't like the stress. Some people thrive on that. People are different. I like having a little bit more time and don't want the pressure of it. There's a medium point really, but there's no utopia really where everyone's going to say the film industry will slow everything down by 2 weeks so Jim can have a week off in the middle of the edit. It's just not going to happen. So it's I think sometimes it's about managing yourself and your own expectations.
Yeah, I agree. And I think kindness and compassion, I think if people have that as the starting place, things can start to get better.
Yeah, that's true of everything really, isn't it?
I'd say so, yeah. Jim, thank you very much for your time again. I really enjoyed this conversation.
Me too.
I think you brought up some really important points, and anyone out there who is struggling and feeling like that they want to give up, that this industry isn't for them, there are many people out there that are going through the same thing and who have felt like that or are feeling like that and have persevered and have come out the other side. So yeah, always remember to trust the process. And yeah, I hope to make more videos like this with more talented, interesting people, very much like Jim. So yeah, stay tuned. We'll be bringing more of these to the channel. So yeah, like, comment and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.